As we approach rookie draft season, we are going to give you a strategy that is going to help you win every single rookie draft that you do. I know some of you are going to be doing upwards of 10 to 12 rookie drafts at the same time, and it can get kind of confusing when you're doing that many. So we're going to give you a strategy that you can apply to all of those rookie drafts that is going to help you get the most out of every single pick that you make in those rookie drafts, especially those third and fourth round picks, those toss-ups, how you're going to approach those, and we're going to talk about all that today in this video. First, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We've got content like this and more coming out every single week on Dynasty Domain. And make sure you like the video. It's free. It's easy. You just scroll down and go, boop, and it lights up, and then all of a sudden it helps us out a little bit. So we really appreciate you doing that for us as well. And make sure you check out our locals. That's where our exclusive content is. The link's in the description. Go down there and join the community. Let's get into it. So with rookie drafts, I'm going to say mock drafts for everything because we've said it for 5 months. But with rookie drafts, a completely different strategy than startup drafts, obviously. You know, with startup drafts, I always go into it and I'm thinking, you know, just take the value, especially in the second round. And that's, you know, here's the thing. In rookie drafts, you don't really know where the value is yet. Like, of course, you can see it based on landing spot, but most of the time, rookie drafts are going about the same order in all of them, plus or minus a couple spots. So it's a little bit different here in terms of you can't really take huge value wins in rookie drafts unless you're playing in a home league with bums, which that happens. But if you don't play in home leagues, then you're probably going to be scrapping to get every single win that you can in these things. And so we're going to go through some rules here about how we approach when we draft in rookie drafts. Again, a very different strategy than normal, but at the same time, we think if you follow these rules that you'll be able to be successful in your rookie drafts. And the first one is going to be that draft capital is king. This is something we've talked about from January to now. We can speculate all we want on the rookies and how good they are and what their combine numbers is and their RAS and whatever, and Jeremy can do as many threads as he wants, but in reality, it's not going to matter how much he likes Devon Achane, because if Devon Achane gets fourth-round draft capital, he gets fourth-round draft capital. And you know, so we've got to consider, as we're doing this, that draft capital is going to be the number one indication of where we should be taking these guys. Obviously, there is a little bit of, positional variance there and then landing spot variance, but draft capital is going to be the number one thing, and I think that's something that we should be heavily considering, probably more than anything when we're going through these rookie drafts. And the other one is that landing spots are overvalued.
Yeah, this is something that we see every single year with the Kansas City Chiefs specifically. We saw it with Sky Double Y Moore last year. We're probably going to see it with Jalen Hyatt if he goes to the Chiefs this year.
That was a double whammy because of his name and the Chiefs.
Yeah. So again, that's pretty self-explanatory, pretty simple. If you have a player who is skyrocketing up draft boards just because of where he goes and he doesn't even have insane draft capital or elite draft capital, then take him where he belongs, not where you think he should go because of where he landed, especially in the Patrick Mahomes offense. Look what they did last year. They literally won the Super Bowl and they didn't have a single wide receiver one on their team.
Yeah.
I guess Travis Kelce kind of counts as a wide receiver one, but other than that, it's so funny how attracted we are to the elite offenses, and yet those are sometimes worse landing spots than the ones that are less attractive, like the Seattle Seahawks. So
yeah, no, being a good fantasy offense is definitely different than being a great NFL offense. In Superflex leagues, QBs are a premium right now, guys. If you are in a 12-team league with 2 quarterbacks, that you're struggling to find 24 quarterbacks that you really, really feel good about in Superflex leagues right now. So because of that, when we see that these quarterbacks are going to get the draft capital like this in the first round, top 10 picks potentially, you've got to take the QBs. And you saw it in I think we're going to have released the mock draft before this, but you saw it. We took 5 QBs, I think, in the first round, not to mention there were 4 QBs in the top 5 picks. So, look, I know that wide receivers hold their value well and running backs can be really appealing, but QB is going to be where it's at in Superflex leagues, and you should be valuing these guys accordingly. It's hard to find QBs right now that you're really, really feeling good about value-wise, but if these guys get the draft capital that they're projected to, they're going to be guys you can feel good about. Did you move something around?
Oh, yeah, I did. Don't worry about it. Sorry.
All right. The next one is going to be wide receivers. Wide receivers are going to maintain their value. Go ahead and talk about that.
Yes, sir. So we actually did this math and this research this offseason looking back at the 2022 wide receiver class. And while that class is looking to be a historical anomaly in terms of how many are going to hit probably and how many have already hit, the point still stands that wide receivers that have relevant to even just mid draft capital, like 4th or 5th round, they're going to maintain their value into their sophomore season. And I mean, even John Mechie, who did not step on the field, maintained his value because everyone is anticipating them drafting a quarterback this coming year. Jalen Tolbert, I think, was the only guy last year, the only really relevant wide receiver outside of, the 6th and 7th round guys that did not maintain his value. He dropped significantly. Everyone else stayed or went up. Sky Moore may have fallen a little bit, but it was crazy to see how many of them maintain their value. And this is not just rookies. This is like across the board. I also did research on the rookie wide receivers since 2014, I believe. It may have been 2013, but
long time, yeah.
Like the hit rate for how many receivers maintain their value going into their sophomore season was anywhere from like 65 to 70%, which is awesome.
Yeah. And with running backs here, running backs are going to be elevated because of their landing spot. So you saw this last year multiple times. James Cook was elevated because he went to the Bills, which was a high-powered offense. They were Super Bowl favorites, and he was thought of as the guy that was going to be the focal. I don't know. Really, only Jeremy thought that. People thought that
a lot of people thought James Cook was going to be the focal point.
Yeah, I mean, and it just wasn't going to happen. And you saw it with the Chiefs a couple years ago and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I mean, he not a valuable fantasy asset right now, and people were taking him over Jonathan Taylor. You saw it last year with Dameon Pierce because there was that opportunity in Houston because he was going to be the number one back. People were taking him in the first round, and I mean, there's a fairly good chance he's going to get replaced this year in the draft, or if it's not this year, probably the year after. And so, a lot of times with running backs, it's just okay, who has the highest draft capital here, and who got the best landing spot. And since that's particularly true with running backs, you have to be careful. We don't like selecting a ton of running backs in rookie drafts. A lot of times it's better to go trade for them later, especially the elite ones like Brees, who may not produce right away or may get hurt, and then you can go trade for them. That's how we prefer to do running backs. And again, they're going to be elevated because of the landing spot, but they are replaceable in the end. So don't spend your first round pick on a replaceable running back.
Yeah, it's funny how much we crap on James Cook, but I mean, in fairness, I personally think the Bills were literally just a year too early. I think they were kind of ahead of the game in the fact that they looked for the speedy receiver that had a potential elite receiving skill set, and they took their shot. So I think this could be a trend. This could be something that we see where these running backs that weren't producing statistically at a super high level in college but have a good receiving skill set could get higher draft capital than we expect even this year. So keep an eye out for that. I think the Bills were, again, just a year too early, and they could have gotten a guy better that was better in this draft. James Cook, in our opinion, just going into his rookie season, we just didn't think he was that good. And he wasn't. So, but again, point still stands. He went in the second round for a reason. I think you could see a continuing trend there. Late round running backs, and really piggybacking off of that, late round running backs in terms of draft capital may get you a market value win. So we saw a lot of this last year. Isaiah Pacheco, Zamir White, Dameon Pierce, Tyler Algier. Actually, he didn't get very much buzz, and he was really the one that probably ended up being the
third round.
best.
He's a late round. He was a third, fourth round rookie pick.
I thought he was a fifth rounder. He was a third or fourth.
No. I'm talking about in Dynasty rookie draft.
Oh, in Dynasty, yes, yeah. Anyways, all those guys, they almost none of them were really going second rounds. Maybe Dameon Pierce was sliding into the second round at the very end because it wasn't very deep.
He was going into 112 at times. Dameon Pierce, 110, 112.
What?
Dameon, you don't remember that?
No.
Yeah, he
had
did.
Fourth round draft capital. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But anyways, the point is, don't reach for those guys that don't have draft capital, but don't have an issue taking them and shooting your shot in the third or fourth round of Dynasty rookie drafts, because chances are, as ridiculous and overreactionary as the Dynasty community gets, once training camp comes, you're going to start talking about the running backs that have zero draft capital and how good they are and how they're going to be some breakout and some hidden gem. And then you can package them together and ship them off for an elite asset in Dynasty. That's called a market value win.
It happens every single year. Every single year. who cares? When you're in rookie drafts, who cares about ADP? Invest smart. Your smart investments in Superflex leagues are going to be your quarterbacks and your wide receivers. And outside of that, I mean, there's going to be some variability, especially with, is that a word?
Variability?
That's a word, right?
Yes.
For some reason, I thought I just made up a word.
I'll put it up there for
all right, good.
For everyone.
I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
There's going to be some variability because running backs, again, their value is going to fluctuate more than any other position, and they're going to be elevated because of the landing spot, and that could change things. And then with tight ends, again, they're not going to break out probably until they're 24, 25 years old, so you have that. Wide receivers going to maintain their value year over year. Quarterbacks probably going to maintain their value year over year. And so don't take somebody because they fall. So again, if you have a running back that's getting elevated, but you're drafting with smart people, so he's not being drafted where he normally does, don't take him just for market value. Again, when you're drafting in rookie drafts like this, ADP's fairly out the window, and take the guy that you know is going to be the smart, safe dynasty investment positionally. Because I think a lot of people are going to be tempted to see fallers, and they're going to be tempted to take them, and they're going to be like, "Crap, I felt like I have to take them there." But in reality, if you know that you can get a wide receiver and that he's a better investment than the running back that has fallen, you take the wide receiver. It's almost all dart throws past a certain point in rookie drafts, anyways. So I would say that just invest smart more than anything. And then you've got explore your trade options and know the value of your pick.
Yeah, know the value of your pick. If you play Dynasty smart, you should never have any asset that's untouchable, pick or player, on your team. If someone offers you the right price for where you're at in your rookie draft, you should at the very least consider it, and you should explore these things. Now, I'm not saying be annoying, and when it's your time on the clock, you take the entire 4 to 8 hours and you say, "This is on the block, you have to offer me something, and I'm not going to make a pick until I get an offer," or whatnot. Like, don't be that guy. But all it takes is a couple inquiries in your league, and you'll get some. You'll probably get some offers.
Isn't it pronounced inquiries?
Did I say inquiries?
Yes.
Inquiries. We'll add that to the list of things I mispronounced.
We are special.
I'm going to put
today.
that.
Wow. Okay.
Inquiries of Pat P.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but
dweeb.
Yeah, like with draft picks, you can trade back. You can trade that player altogether. I mean, I thought I would get. I've traded away plenty of rookie picks before, and I thought I would never get these players or these hauls, and I did, because people overreact about rookies at times, especially mid-draft.
Absolutely. The next one's going to be know where your teardrops are. So know, especially when you're moving around in drafts and preferably trading back, and we'll tell you why here in a second, know where your teardrops are. So, for example, this year I think there's a pretty big teardrop. Right now it's after the 105, but it could end up being after the 106 depending on the kind of draft capital that the QBs get. And so, for example, in a Superflex league, you've got Bijan, Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, Anthony Richardson, and JSN. And then the teardrop is after that, and then it's Will Levis, and Jordan Addison, Quentin, etc. Will Levis could maybe jump up, I could see a little bit, but outside of that, I think those top 5 are going to be fairly certain they're going to be there as long as Anthony Richardson gets the draft capital we think he's going to. But again, that you have to know that the trading down one spot from the 105 to the 106, if you're doing it before the draft, you may not be considering that teardrop, but that's a pretty big difference. Going from the 104 to the 105 might not be, because then you're just taking whatever quarterback or wide receiver falls to you at that point, and those are both safe value picks. Yep. However, the 105 to the 106, and then again from like the 109 to the 110, and then again from like the 202 to the 203, there are pretty big teardrops in some of these areas. So make sure you know where those are, because when you're trading for those picks or you're trading back out of your picks, you're going to need to know how much value you're actually losing when you're moving to different areas of the draft.
Yeah, so that's why I'd wait to trade back until draft day. Don't trade back now. Don't give away your 105 and get the 108 and 109. You have no idea who's going to land where and what players are going to be going there.
I just, for the sake of flow, I'm going to throw this in here. Don't trade up unless it's a steal. I think a lot, and and it's possible you're going to get a good value. It's possible you're going to get a steal, but I think a lot of times we see somebody that we like, our darlings, and we want to move up and we want to get these guys because they've fallen or something like that. A lot of times, I mean, you know that when you're looking to trade back in a rookie draft, you're looking to get a haul for your pick. When you're trading with somebody else and you're looking to move up, the other person is looking to get a haul for their pick. So you could possibly end up overpaying. And the assets that any smart dynasty player are going to target on your team if you're trying to move up are assets that are going to serve you well for years down the road. So in reality, the smartest thing for us, we do this in startup drafts too, but even in rookie drafts, probably best to try to move down if you're going to move than move up, because you're more likely to take value losses if you try to move up in Dynasty rookie drafts. And you've got the next one.
Yeah. So with that, take value over team need when you're going into these rookie drafts. Don't reach for the position that you think your roster needs. We are still in April. The season doesn't start until September, and you really don't know how much of a legitimate contender you are until about the end of October. That's a long way away. Take the value that falls to you. Do not reach for a running back if that position is scarce where you are, or a receiver, or really any position there. Like this happened in 2021. The running back class was the running back room was pretty scarce that year. It was Etienne and Najee, and that was pretty much it. After that, the third best running back was Trey Sermon. And I saw Trey Sermon going, I was seeing people reach for him as high as like the 109 because they thought they were desperate for a running back. And it was worth it to them to reach for Trey Sermon, who didn't even have amazing draft capital, going to San Francisco. Everyone knew he wasn't going to be an insane prospect. Everyone knows what the Niners do with the running backs that they draft. They continually replace them. There hasn't been a consistent consecutive running back one in the San Fran offense since Shanahan has been the coach there, and you still took a shot on Trey Sermon in the late first round, and look where you are now. You were taking him over Devonta Smith? Seriously? Like, come on. So please, please, please don't do that. If you think you need a running back so bad, if you think you need a wide receiver so bad, don't reach for them in the rookie draft. Trade for them. Trade for them in the offseason. Get a value at running back that's a proven veteran asset. Get a wide receiver that's a proven veteran asset and trade for them. Like, don't try to take a shot on some dude that is probably going to be irrelevant in the rookie draft.
Great advice right there. Don't reach for your darlings, especially when they get zero draft capital. This one is hilarious to me. And obviously when you get to the fourth round of Dynasty rookie drafts, everything's a dart throw anyways.
Yeah.
So it's not the worst thing in the world if you've got a personal conviction and you want to take somebody there. Call your shots. However, when you're talking about in the first round, don't take somebody because you watched film and you graded them out this and blah, blah, blah. Because, look, you are not an NFL scout. I am not an NFL scout. Again, that's why we're using draft capital to evaluate these prospects in rookie drafts. And we're not using our own personal grading system where we go through and put them in and, okay, well, their awareness is, how the heck would I know what the awareness of running back is? I don't play football and I don't play in the NFL and I'm not an NFL scout. So when you're evaluating rookies in Dynasty, it's a lot better to be reactive than predictive. Because if you try to be predictive, a lot of times you just end up shooting yourself in the foot because you don't know what you're talking about. But when you're being reactive and you're analyzing things that are more important, like draft capital, profile is obviously important. But again, if you just react to where they go and at what point in the draft they go, that's going to yield a lot more consistent, a lot better results than if you're trying to predict who's going to be the better player in the NFL based on your own personal rankings or your whatever the heck. Like is the criteria that we've laid out for you are more important than anything else, especially personal rankings or things like that. Yeah,
the Dynasty community. I mean, anyone in the Dynasty community is susceptible to to being really stubborn when it comes to their takes. We've done this before. We've learned the hard way from this. And if you're stubborn, you lose out on market value. If Kayshon Boutte goes in the 5th round, even though you still believe in him, he does not deserve to still go early to mid-second rounds in this year's rookie draft. He doesn't. Same goes with Devon Achane. We love Zach Charbonnet. If he doesn't get good draft capital and gets a terrible landing spot where he's not the RB1 going into that offense, he takes a value hit. And we have to admit that. We're not going to reach for him.
Yeah.
Moving on.
All right.
Take as many tight ends in the 3rd, 4th round as possible.
Yeah.
So we are very reluctant to spend high-end rookie draft picks on tight ends that will probably take at least 3 years to break out. However, we really like the idea of you investing in tight ends in the 3rd and 4th round once those players become relatively irrelevant in terms of immediate fantasy production. At that point, again, they're just dart throws. And tight ends have an interesting tendency, at least we've seen in recent years, to really, double in value, even when they're the tight end 2 on their own team behind Mark freaking Andrews. And you can package those together, you can sell them individually, and you can get high producing assets that are putting up fantasy numbers now. I mean, we've done it before. I think I sold, gosh, I got George Kittle for something stupid. It involved moving. Keep talking while I pull it up because you're going to laugh. But this is the point I'm making. I invested in Isaiah Likely, and I got a crazy return.
But you saw last year. I mean, Chigo Okonkwo, Trey McBride, Isaiah Likely, Jelani Woods. Look, you took all those guys in the 3rd and 4th round last year. Trey McBride maybe went in the 2nd, but
yeah.
And look at what you're moving them for now. I mean, a 3rd and 4th round like rookie pick. Those guys are going between the 12th and 15th round of Dynasty startups. So your return on investment is already enough to where I'm like, see ya.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah.
I'll buy you again when you're 25.
Yep.
So
I moved up multiple spots in the 2023 rookie draft, and I got George Kittle in return for Isaiah Likely and Mac Jones. And Isaiah Likely was really the main reason that deal went down is because of what he was doing. So
is that trade with who I think it is?
Probably not.
Oh, okay.
I don't think so.
All right, last one. If you're going to trade, target wide receivers approaching their second deal. I'll let you talk about this one. This was your point, but
yeah. So this is really interesting. I think a lot of times we get way too excited about, even though rookie wide receivers maintain their value, the Dynasty rookie draft is not always the perfect time to invest in them. Sometimes it's just a little bit later going into the rookie season when people kind of come down back to earth in the Dynasty community and they don't produce, at a high level like we expect all of them to for some reason. And target those proven wide receivers that aren't exactly old per se, but they are approaching a second deal. So A.J. Brown was one of those guys at the start of last season that was absolutely, he was a smash buy, a smash target, and I was trying to get him in every single rookie draft that I was in because, again, people were concerned about the target share there and Devontae Smith, and I was like, no, it doesn't matter. He has a 4-year, $100 million deal. And while he's on a second deal and he's not as young as these rookies, you have twice the amount of security with those mega deals as you do with a rookie wide receiver on a rookie deal when they can move on from them at any point regardless of draft capital. Kadarius Toney is a perfect example of this. Kadarius Toney went in the 1st round not that long ago, guys. If you can move off of one of those guys that has decent draft capital, even 1st-round draft capital, and you can get one of those proven assets that can still be a cornerstone asset on your team, do it. Even for T. Higgins for the right price, do it.
Yeah, 100% agree with that. Look, if you follow these rules, we're not guaranteeing that every single one of your picks is going to hit, but we're guaranteeing that you're going to be putting yourself in a better position in every single draft to do better and to get better value. And again, I think the most important thing is to take emotion out of the equation here and draft with your brain in your head. With draft capital obviously being the most important thing. So Make sure you like this video. It's free, it's easy, helps us out, and you press that little button for us. So we appreciate that. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. We've got content coming out every single week. And make sure you check out our locals page where all of our exclusive content is. And you can join our Discord, which is where our community is. We have a lot of fun there. So make sure you join that. That is down in the description. As always, we appreciate you watching. Thanks for joining us. And we'll see you later.